A phrase that my dearest mother taught me is, God doesn't pay back in money. Now, I'm not going to give you a massive religious lecture. I think you could replace the word God in this sentence with the God that you believe in, or karma, or the universe, or the law of attraction, or manifestation. Whatever you believe in, I think even if you're not religious, it can still apply to you. Now, what does my mum mean by the phrase, God doesn't pay back in money? From my understanding, this is a traditional way of saying what goes around comes around. If you act in a certain way, if you're a bad person, if you have no regard for others, that's going to come back to bite you. And I've experienced this myself. I remember months ago, I was a very judgmental person. I was in the middle of my self-improvement, shall we say, which I find a bit cringe now to say you're on self-improvement, because life is all about improvement. You know stuff today that you didn't know yesterday. You've had experiences this year that you didn't have last year. But anyway, I was a very judgmental person back then. So I said some stuff that I wasn't thinking about what I'm saying. I said stuff about certain people I knew, and months later, it's come back to bite me. I've upset a lot of people, I've offended a lot of people, and I've genuinely felt bad about this. Now, at the time, I was simply expressing my opinion. I didn't mean to offend anyone, and I'm not necessarily bothered about offending people, because regardless of what you say, people are going to get offended. I could say something as simple as, I like pizza, and someone's going to be offended by that. Regardless, I said things, offended people without intending to, upset some people, and months later, it's come back to bite me. And I was reminded of this phrase that my mum says all the time, which is, God doesn't pay back in money. God is not going to let this slide. If you are a bad person, even if it was stuff that happened months ago, if you're trying to hide something, eventually the truth will come out. It's like if you lie all the time. Telling a few lies here and there is no big deal. Like, let's say you lie to someone about a surprise party because you don't want to spoil the surprise. That's perfectly fine, but if you make lying a consistent habit, eventually all these lies are going to build up, and eventually your whole life is a lie. You're living as not your true self. You're living as a facade, not being the person that you're meant to be. And eventually these lies are going to come crashing down. Like a weak scaffold, like a flimsy pyramid, they're all going to come crashing down on you. And you are going to have to man up. You're going to have to take responsibility. And you're going to have to pay the price. And that's what I've done. I've taken responsibility for my actions. And I've apologized. If you mess up, fess up. And I think what's also important about owning up to your mistakes and God not paying back in money is that it teaches you a lesson. Everything happens for a reason, and I think certain things that happen to you are designed to teach you something. Even if you're not religious, if you don't believe in God, if you're an atheist, you of course can still learn from your experiences, even if you think they don't necessarily mean anything. The meaning can be found from what you learned from that experience. And I've learned a lot. I learned a lot last year. I learned a lot about relationships. I learned a lot about love. I learned a lot about heartache. And whilst it wasn't good to go through those experiences in the moment, in retrospect, I'm grateful that these bad things happened to me, because it's made me into the man I am today. It's given me this opportunity to express my thoughts on it and convey what I believe, has made me into a better individual. And I think we can all sometimes be grateful for the bad things in life. Now, that might seem crazy. It's like, how can I be grateful for my debt? Or how can I be grateful for losing a loved one? Or how I can be grateful for my terrible situation? Now, we're not going to start dancing around saying, oh, I'm so happy this horrible thing happened to me. But we can have a little bit of gratitude, even if it's only a bit, for ourselves. We can be grateful that whoever's out there has given us this challenge and we've been given the opportunity to overcome it. Because I know I'm still young, I've got a lot of hardship to go through in my life. I've not really experienced major hardship yet. I've only had mild experiences or had to deal with certain things recently. But I know that the worst is yet to come, as bad as it sounds. Yet I'm interested to see how I'm going to react to that. If I'm going to learn things about myself, if I'm going to come out of the other side a stronger and more empathetic, just a better individual in general. I'm excited to see what the future has for me. It's very interesting to think about these things. Again, we're all trying to make sense of this crazy life. As I'm sitting here thinking about this, I'm like looking around and I just think how surreal life is. I'm 19 years old. I've been plonked on this little mud ball floating in space. For the longest time, I didn't believe in God. Recently, I've been thinking there must be something out there. There must be someone guiding me. There must be purpose to my life. And yet, some days I don't think that, but I know that I'm being watched over, that someone's looking out for me. And I've just got to make the most of it. Regardless of what you believe, you've got to make the most of this life that you're given. If you're able to watch this video, if you're able to hear my words, you've at least got a little thing to be grateful for. Be grateful for your house. Be grateful for your phone. Be grateful for your internet connection. Be grateful for the internet, where you have the opportunity to create and learn and visualize and connect and serve and find a purpose for yourself. That is fantastic. And I'm taking opportunity with that right now. I'm taking advantage of these wonderful opportunities I've been given. And I encourage you to do the same. Because God does not pay back in money. And that applies for the bad things that you do in life. But it also applies for the good things in your life. If you do good things for your neighbor, if you compliment people, if you lift people up, if you create yourself into a positive energy source in a very corrupt and sad world, you can make your life extraordinary. But hey, that's just a little 19-year-old giving you a little bit of his life advice. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you can take something from it. May God bless you as He's blessed me. And you take care. Stay awesome and subscribe for more interesting life reflections. Take care of yourself.